Alrighty then. Well, since I don't have much to update on, and since I've been sick for a little while now, I think I'm going to go and do a story time today. So what I'm going to start relating stories about is a really old dog that I used to have. I used to live in Wichita, Kansas, in not the greatest neighborhood. It wasn't the greatest neighborhood. But we used to have two people who lived across from us in my old house. One of them was an old lady. I believe she had a hoarding problem, but she was very nice. She had a dog and she had a cat. And then the lady next to her on the corner of the street was, she had 3 dogs. And one of them was Coco. She was a small dog. She looked like a fox, about the same size as a fox. She had such thick fur that when you collected it, if you knew how, you could spin it into string. So she was a rather unique dog. I don't know what breed she was, if she was a mutt or what, but she was really unique. Well, she was a fence jumper. This lady had really tall fences and Coco knew how to climb them. So Coco would come over to my house every day and meet me in my front yard and play with me. She was a really, really nice dog. Well, eventually, this lady had to move. And where she was moving, she was only allowed to have 2 dogs. So she actually gave Coco to me. And Coco became our dog, which was super cool. Because Coco at the time was my best friend. So Coco, this little dog, could take down dogs the size of Gunner. She could be vicious. And she adopted me as her puppy, even after we fixed her. She was very good. And she'd be a dog that I'd be willing to have a small pack of because of the way she operated. She was very protective of me and the family, I believe, but mostly me. My parents would let me go walking with Coco, and they wouldn't be afraid of me walking with Coco because she would keep me safe. She was that dog that if she didn't know you, you were not coming over here. I had to physically introduce you. Coco, this is so-and-so. So-and-so, this is Coco. And then she'd be okay. But I would have to introduce you. It was a nightmare when we took her to a family reunion. So my dad had to hold her by the muzzle and introduce her to every single person. But after that, she was fine. And she'd be okay with other people so long as I wasn't around. But the moment I was around, she became protective. So yeah, she was probably one of the best dogs that I ever had. Well, that I can personally remember. There's one other dog that I'll tell more stories about at another time. But right now, I'm going to talk about Coco. So, yeah, Coco was one of the best dogs that I ever had. Even when she was with us, though, she was still a fence jumper. So she would jump the fence and go dumpster diving. She absolutely hated the dog food we brought her. And it was premium dog food. And she hated the stuff. Well, I think my dad, because we were spending a lot of money on that food that she wouldn't eat, my dad got so mad that he tried to force feed her and she threw it up. And at the time we had a little kitten and it came up and sniffed the puke. It sniffed this dog food, a piece of this dog food, and went, ugh, and tried to bury it. And that's when my dad went, oh. And so he called the company and let them know that, hey, your premium dog food might not be so great. We fixed Coco at one point, and when we did, we fixed Coco. Man, I kind of wish that we hadn't, but I don't know that we would have gotten what we wanted out of her if we bred her, because, man, she had the best temperament. But shortly after we fixed Coco, we had a kitten walk into our backyard, probably the same one, but this was before we had him. And some girl ran up to me as soon as I picked him up, handed me a can of cat food and said, here you go, and then walked away. So we had this kitten, and this kitten tried to suckle from Coco. Well, after we told Coco the kitten is family, she didn't try to eat it. But it tried to suckle off of her, and that made her teeth so sore since she wasn't producing milk. So if she got kind of sick of being suckled on, she'd roll over on top of the kitten. She wouldn't hurt it, but it couldn't get away. Oh yeah, Coco caught a squirrel once. She caught a squirrel in our backyard and she buried it. Well, she ate the head for breakfast, the middle for lunch, and the rest of it for dinner. So she could kind of hunt for herself. She was really probably the most unique dog I've ever run across. Well, finally there came a time when we had to move, and I guess we couldn't take her with us. So we ended up giving her to a family friend, and she's lived there ever since. Unfortunately, she's probably dead now, but I really miss her. She was a really good dog.